The Patriots are in the middle of a major transitional period, and to call their offseason interesting would probably be an understatement. This is a franchise that's had an offseason that's all about celebrating the past while simultaneously looking to the future. And I want to be really clear with this take. Actually, I try to be clear with all of my takes. I think that the Patriots have made a lot of really good moves this offseason that are going to help them down the line. I don't know if it's going to be enough to fix all of the issues from last year, especially with a first-time head coach, brand new staff, brand new players, but I do like a lot of the moves the Patriots have made this offseason. Stick around and I'll break it all down for you. Before we get to the content, please be sure to like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and turn on those notifications because you do not want to miss what I have planned for you later this month. The Patriots offseason began with firing the second winningest head coach of all time in Bill Belichick. It's kind of funny to me that the Seahawks and the Patriots both tried to play off their head coach firings as like celebrations. They tried to play it off like, oh, it was mutual. We all wanted to move on. And at the end of the day, when you really break it down, it just couldn't be further from the truth. The fact of the matter is that both Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick wanted to continue coaching next year. They both wanted to stay with their organizations. Neither of them wanted to get fired. And at the end of the day, no matter how much the owners try to play it like it was a peaceful parting of ways and everything like that, it was still a firing. What I did find fascinating is that neither of those two legendary coaches ended up with a job this offseason. I would have thought that one or both of them would have been able to get a job somewhere. And don't get me wrong, if they were willing to take coordinator positions, I'm sure that they would have been hired. But I would have thought there would have been at least a few head coaching opportunities that would make sense. Bill Belichick did at least interview a couple of places. We know the Falcons for sure. I think he might have gotten like a phone call interview or something with the Commanders, but I'm not sure about that. And even though neither of those coaches got hired, I did make a video a couple of months ago explaining how there's still a scenario where they could coach in the 2024 season. It's pretty unlikely, but let's say, just for argument's sake, that the Dallas Cowboys got off to a really bad start and Jerry Jones really wanted to salvage this season. Remember, there's a good chance that he could be losing Dak Prescott and he could be losing CeeDee Lamb next offseason. He's also already looking at losing his head coach next offseason. So he might feel like this is his last chance with this group. So if Mike McCarthy was to get off to a slow start and he thought that maybe one of those two legendary coaches could turn it around, then maybe Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll gets a shot with the Cowboys this year. I don't think that's very likely. There's no guarantee that Belichick or Carroll would want to get hired in those circumstances. I think they'd rather get hired into a program where they get the full offseason to build the culture the way they want to build it. So it's a pretty unlikely scenario, but I just tossed it out there as a possibility. Overall, the firing of Bill Belichick did seem pretty dramaless for the Patriots until an Apple TV Plus series came out called The Dynasty. The Dynasty was a docuseries that covered the Patriots' 20 years dominance over the NFL. Now, the controversy surrounding that documentary was in the way that it portrayed Bill Belichick. It kind of indicates that Bill Belichick is the reason the dynasty ended. I actually believe the Patriots players that they said a whole bunch of other things, and the documentary just cut it up to make it the most interesting, to make the biggest splash, because that's what these things do. And we could just chalk it all up to that if it wasn't for the fact that Robert Kraft's production company is the one that made the documentary. And if that wasn't juicy enough to sense a rift between Patriots owner Robert Kraft and former head coach Bill Belichick, just months later, ESPN dropped a bombshell article alleging that Robert Kraft has actually been calling other NFL organizations that were interested in Bill Belichick and has been saying disparaging things about him to try to not get him hired somewhere. He's been trying to sabotage Belichick's career since leaving the Patriots. That's what the article alleges. Specifically named in the article was the Commanders and the Falcons. Now, I did make a video on that too. I'll put it in the description so you guys can easily find it after this video. And then came the Tom Brady roast, which I found hilarious. I'm a big fan of the roast. Julian Edelman pretty much said that, yeah, Kraft and Belichick do not get along right now. Here's what he said on his podcast about Belichick and Kraft before the roast.
pre-show, we're in the green room. Randy, Drew, me, Gronk.
Yeah.
We were just chilling in there.
Mm-hmm.
Bill's opening up. He's having fun. He's talking war stories. He's talking rookies. Doing shit we know what Bill's all about, but it was like amplified because he was excited to see guys because he doesn't have a job anymore.
And then Kraft walks in.
That's what I was about to just...
Right? Yeah, and then Kraft walks in.
Tension in that room, though.
It was real.
Good cut.
It was very real.
Now, look, I actually think that Belichick has done a really good job of reviving his image over the past year and change. This is a guy who's always been very tight-lipped at press conferences. He's kind of always had this image of not wanting to talk to the media, not being personable. But over the past year, he did the college pregame show for the Army-Navy game, and he was having fun, jokingly putting on a helmet and all that stuff. Looked like he was having a good time there. He participated in the Pat McAfee Draft Day special that he showed a lot of personality and really showed off the things that he knows, but was also able to have a laugh and have a good time with the McAfee crew. And then he also participated in the Tom Brady roast, got some laughs, was laughed at, and was a good sport about it. You know, he throws the flag at one point. He's got the whistle. He just was having a good time and being a good sport about everything. So I do think that his image was revived a little bit, and maybe people started to see that, yeah, there's a lot more to this guy than just his uncomfortable, awkward press conferences. And actually, just yesterday, Belichick went to Croatia. He's got all these pictures here where he's smiling and taking pictures with people. He went to Croatia and got a Croatian certificate of nationality. He met with the president of Croatia. He met with the prime minister. So Belichick's a human being. I know he's been portrayed as like a robot, but guys, he is a real human being. And I think he's done a good job of showing that. He is set to join Peyton and Eli Manning for their Monday Night Football alternate broadcast this year. And then the other Patriots blast from the past this offseason has been Tom Brady. Tom Brady's set to provide color commentary to the Fox NFL broadcast this season. At the same time, Brady is trying to buy a partial ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders, but I don't really see that happening with him also working at Fox. You can't have a partial owner of a team going to production meetings with players from other teams. It just doesn't really work. That'd be like if Magic Johnson, who's a partial owner of the Commanders, that'd be like him showing up to the Panthers facility and talking to them and asking them, hey, what are you guys thinking this week? What's on your mind? As we're preparing for this game, that type of stuff. It's uncomfortable for everybody. It's a clear conflict of interest. So I don't see 24 owners agreeing to that. And I also don't see 24 owners agreeing to the rate in which Tom Brady was being sold that ownership stake. It was reported that the ownership stake he was going to get for the Raiders was going to be at a discounted price. And the problem is that brings down the valuation of the other 31 teams. So I don't see 24 owners being on board with that either. But anyways, that's all the former Patriots and all of that drama that's happened this offseason. The Patriots are also looking forward. The Patriots hired former Patriot linebacker turned linebacker coach Jerod Mayo as their new head coach. The Patriots also signed their former third-round draft pick in Jacoby Brissett to a one-year, $8 million contract. Actually, now that I think about it, those are both kind of things from the past, too. But they also had a really great draft. The Patriots selected UNC quarterback Drake Maye with the 3rd overall pick. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm not too high on Drake Maye. I feel like he has a lot of underthrown footballs. I feel like he took a huge dip from year 2 to year 3 of college. That doesn't mean he won't be successful in the NFL, but you don't normally see someone who's viewed as like a project quarterback being taken with the 3rd overall pick. And it does seem like Jerod Mayo isn't planning on starting Drake Maye right away. But that does beg the question, when do you start him? The problem is, looking at the Patriots' schedule, there's not really a great spot to start them. Chad Graff of The Athletic actually wrote a 5-part series about the Patriots, addressing a bunch of different questions for the Patriots this offseason. One of them was, how long should the Patriots wait before making Drake Maye their starting QB? In the article, Graff came up with 4 possibilities. One of them being that Maye could start in week 1. The upside of Maye starting in week 1 is that you'd be giving him experience right away. The downside is that the Patriots have a juggernaut schedule to start the year. They start against the Bengals, Seahawks, Jets, 49ers, Dolphins, Texans. And then they go to London to play the Jaguars, which is actually Graf's next suggestion, May could start after London. After London, the Patriots play the Jets again, but then the schedule does get a lot easier. They've got the Titans, Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Colts. Graf's suggestion after that is that you could start May after the bye week. The Patriots bye week doesn't come until week 14, so the advantage would be that May had a lot of time to learn behind Brissett. And then the final option that Graf gives is that May could sit the full first season, which I think is actually my second favorite choice because it's just a little more natural to give May a full season of backup work. You'll give him some game time in, like, if you're up big or if you're down big and the game's already lost, you'll let him get some reps in there. But the pressure's off because no one's expecting you to win that game. It's already lost or it's already won. So it's kind of a risk-free way to get him some experience. But then this offseason, he'd get a full offseason as the starter going into next year. So I don't think that's a terrible choice if you choose to sit him for a full year. But my favorite option for May is actually secret option number 5. I'd start May after the second Dolphins game before they play the Colts. I know it's tempting to just wait for the bye week. That way he's got 2 weeks to prepare for his first start. But by that point, he's actually had 12 weeks to prepare for his first start. And I personally like the idea of starting him in a game that he could win, which the Colts might just be that. That might be one of the more winnable games on the Patriots schedule this year. And then he gets the bye week, so now he's got 2 weeks to look back at how he performed last week and what he did to prepare for that game. He's got 2 weeks to really think about that and look ahead at the next opponent, which is going to be the Cardinals, which is also a winnable game for him, I think. And then down the stretch, it does get a little bit more difficult because you've got the Bills, Chargers, and Bills. But let me toss this up to you. What if the Bills have everything locked up by week 18? So that last game against the Bills aren't playing their starters because they've got nothing to play for. I don't know whether that means they've already locked up the number 1 seed or if that means they're stuck at the number 5 seed, stuck at the number 3 seed, whatever they are. There's a decent chance that could happen, that they'll be in a position where they can't move up, can't move down, so they might as well rest guys. And if they're playing their backups, then that's another very winnable game for Drake Maye. And so then you're in a situation where Drake Maye could reasonably go 3-2 in his rookie year. Could go out with a winning record. Even maybe he finds a way to beat either the Bills or Chargers. The first time they plays the Bills and then the Chargers. If he could win one of those games, hey, maybe he starts off 4-1. That'd be great for his confidence. Look, like I said, I wouldn't have drafted Drake Maye with the number 3 overall pick, but since that's where we're at, then I think that the best option is to start him 1 week before the bye week. But let's not pretend that quarterback is the only position the Patriots addressed this offseason. Part 2 of Graf's 5-piece article Patriots thing was all about the Patriots receivers and how their receiving core stacks up in the NFL. Reportedly, the Pats were interested in getting back into the first round to try to draft Xavier Legette, but the Chiefs traded that pick to the Bills. The Bills then traded that pick to the Panthers. The Panthers took Legette with the 32nd overall pick. The Bills took Keon Coleman with the 33rd overall pick, and the Patriots would go on to take Jalen Polk with the 37th. And then they also got Javon Baker with the 110th overall pick. So that means the Patriots receiving room now includes KJ Osborne, Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and Juju Smith-Schuster. That's not a terrible receiving room, and it's definitely an upgrade from what they had last year, but I still think it's the worst in the division, if I'm really thinking about it. I mean, the Bills have Chase Claypool and Keon Coleman. The Dolphins have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and OBJ. The Jets have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Allen Lazard. And any of those receivers I just mentioned, I think would be the number 1 receiver on the Patriots. Don't get me wrong, though, like Polk or Baker could surprise us and emerge as tremendous NFL talents. Another question that Graf addressed in his 5-part series was, can the Patriots still have a top 5 defense in the NFL without Bill Belichick? Graf makes a pretty good point that the Patriots defense really wasn't the issue last season, and Pats fans should be optimistic about the fact that the Patriots defense is actually bringing back virtually everybody that was on defense last year, but they're also getting back Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez, both of whom took season-ending injuries in week 4 of last year. They're both going to be back this year, so the Patriots defense, in theory, should be even better than it was last year. Now, I don't know if they'll be top 5. With their schedule, it's kind of hard to picture that. But the Patriots do have the right pieces to be a pretty dominant defense, and that might just keep them in enough games this year to where maybe they do squeak out 6, 7, maybe 8 wins. You know, I don't know that that's a crazy number. I also wouldn't be surprised if they wind up finishing as one of the worst teams in the league, just because the schedule is tough. It's a first-time head coach. It's a questionable quarterback room. There still are a lot of questions about the Patriots. Bottom line, I don't think the Patriots are going to blow the league away in 2024, but I do think they took some positive steps this offseason that are going to be really meaningful probably a year from now, maybe 2 years tops. But you also never know. I mean, nobody thought that the Texans were going to do what they did last year with a first-year head coach, first time, in that new regime. Maybe the Patriots will do something similar this year. Maybe they'll surprise us all. I'm open to that possibility because of some of the positive moves they made this offseason. But look, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll reply to as many comments as I can because I actually love talking football with you guys. But I will catch you next time. Later.